If you'll please rise, we'll say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel?
Yes.
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
And Dr. Bennett?
Yes, thank you. And I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting in July 29th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye and Mr. Thompson. Were there any corrections?
No.
Seeing none, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, and motion carried. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening, and I do want to compliment our superintendent on a wonderful opening this morning. All the teachers, administrators, staff, everybody was back, and he just did a very wonderful job. Made everyone feel welcome, and it was just an exciting time. You could feel the excitement in the room, and he did some wonderful presentations and updates. I imagine you're going to share a couple of
Maybe
those.
just a tad bit.
Okay, good. So I wanted to share that with you. I was very proud of, and I saw the teachers just responding so warmly and just glad to be back. So it's an exciting time. And I have one other thing I'd like to share. This was addressed to the board, but I know we pass things around. It's hard to read, but it says, Dear Dr. Bennett, SPY served 200 children this summer, many of whom attend Mount Vernon City Schools. Of the 14 camps, one was held at Twin Oak and 2 were held at Columbia, all free. The principals of Columbia and Wiggin Street graciously offered their schools as backup space in case of dangerous weather for camps taking place at Ariel Foundation Park and Kenyon College Brown Family Environmental Center. Please inform the other school board members, hence that's why I'm doing this, that we are very, very grateful for the district's help in providing fun and educational camps in our community. I also wanted to let you know that we had 7 Mount Vernon High School students and 1 recent graduate volunteer in the various camps. Their attitude and enthusiasm were greatly appreciated. Another student joined us this last week for STEAM, and the STEAM team involves 4 students currently working on an interactive display using Knox Labs resources that will be placed at SPY. I hope that this type of collaboration continues, perhaps with future cohorts of students receiving recognition for their volunteer hours. Again, thank you to Mount Vernon City School District for their assistance. Sincerely, Holly Trast. And you know Holly's our former gifted teacher and coach, so we have a special connection there. But I just thought that was really nice of her to take the time to write that, and I wanted all of you to know how much they appreciate our support and the fact that our high school students are volunteering. So, okay, Mrs. Getzman.
Well, I would just ask the question, and that is, if some of those students are seniors, I would think they could get some volunteer hours for that time at SPOT, so that may be a conversation to have with Holly in the future.
Great, okay.
I just want to commend, I know all of our administrators have been hard at work the last month getting ready for school, but it's been exciting to see some of the social posts out there welcoming their students back and kind of giving them an insight as to some of the changes going on in their buildings. And it's just exciting because it just breathes that enthusiasm and luster going into the school year. So I think that's really exciting to see. I know our summer crew was hard at work, and that's part of our theme this year. Lots of construction going on, so that's exciting. And I sit here now with a heavy heart because I'm missing my last back to school night with my last child. But Dad's got it under control. So it's exciting.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Well, I apologize for not being able to attend this morning, but I feel in a sense that I've already had a chance to get a feel for the excitement coming into the year. I've had a chance to see firsthand. You know, we're all excited about what's going on with the field house and the front of the stadium and bus garage and all those kind of things. They're very visible, and the public is reacting, you know, with excitement about that. And that's all well and good, but those other things that you mentioned, it's exciting to go see sidewalks fixed. It's great to see changes in even how we drop kids off, and some of the things that we've talked about. That's a big deal, and I really, really appreciate it. But I know I stopped at one school the other night, and I saw teachers in there painting, right? They didn't have to be doing that, but they were saying it, they were doing it with enthusiasm and knowing that they're making it better for the kids and they're making it better for the staff. So you're right. There's a lot that's going into this year. So
Great. Thank you. Mrs. Steve?
So, I just echo everything, that's been said, and welcome to all of our visitors. It's just, here we go, 2019-20, another school year. So many opportunities for parents and students and staff. And one thing that I just kind of heard repeatedly over the summer, I would bump into a staff member and I would say, "Oh, I hope you're getting rest, enjoying your summer." And the comment would be, "Oh, I am, but I miss the kids. I miss, what's going on in the school day." So, I think that sends measures. My thoughts go to Judy because we miss her, Judy Forney, tonight. So, thank you to Judy for all the excellent service, and welcome to Gary sitting at the head table. So glad you're here.
Thank you. Mrs. Robitaille?
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight on a beautiful evening, on a Monday evening. When I'm listening to all these comments, I know that pride is a sin in a lot of ways, but I feel a great sense of pride in not just our school system, but the community at large, and that's you. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts and from the bottom of our children's hearts for your continued support. None of this would happen without you.
Mr. Seeger, would you like to?
I too would like to welcome you. It was an exciting day, and we'll share just a few little of those things as we get into it, but there's a lot of preparation that goes into the first day when everybody's back, and there's a big sigh of relief once you kind of get towards the end of the day. So I think there's excitement that's really evident, and we got a lot of work to do, so we're excited to do that too, so welcome.
And I heard nice comments from some of our principals about Pleasant Street especially. They just love the new ceiling and the new lights, and of course now they want us to do the music. But they're very, very appreciative. So, and we have another guest with us besides our new treasurer, who's not a guest but going to be a regular. So welcome again to you. And Miss Kim Miller-Smith. Mrs. Kim Miller-Smith is here tonight for OSBA, and she has a special presentation.
Well, thank you. Welcome. Thank you to you and Bill for allowing me to participate this evening. Greetings from the Ohio School Board Association. It is a pleasure to be with you. For those of you in the audience, the central region of the Ohio School Board Association, the OSBA, the Ohio School Board Association, is divided into 5 regions. And the central region serves 14 counties in the central Ohio area and 103 public school districts. I put some folders on your table. At this point in time, we are promoting 3 activities and events, actually a 4th. The Central Region Fall Conference is upon us. Involvement in Kids PAC, that's the political action committee for public schools, and the Student Achievement Fair. We're still taking some applications to fill in the final spots for the Student Achievement Fair. And I will mention that the Legislative Open House is at Tri Rivers Career Center next Wednesday night. Our region conducts a fall and spring conference, and we recognize the achievement of school districts and teachers, board members, community members, and district employees. And we support regional and state success through a system of committees. Tonight I'm here, though, to recognize the accomplishments of Mount Vernon City School Board member Steve Thompson, and to present him his 10-year milestone service award. Mr. Thompson, we thank you for your service to public education and for your service to the students and the families and the community of Mount Vernon. So if you'll come forward, please, read you your certificate. I could not bring you lasagna from the meal. And I brought a program for you, and I had to slam on my brakes on my way here. Everything fell out of my bag, and your program got crunched. So I'm going to put it in the mail for you, so you'll have one. In case you're collecting a scrapbook or something for your board service. This certificate says Distinguished Board Member. The Ohio School Boards Association recognizes Stephen Thompson as a 10-year veteran board member and for continued dedication and commitment to public education as a school board member. Signed by Richard Lewis, our Chief Executive Officer. This says John W. Halkias, the President of the Ohio School Board Association.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I always say to all of you, it's because of your efforts, your administration efforts, the community, that we enjoy strong public schools in Ohio. So thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. I would just say too that I am blessed, we are blessed as a community to have a board such as this. And of course, Steve's being honored here tonight, but we have folks who have the right heart and the right attitude. And it's so refreshing when you hear of other places where maybe that isn't quite the case. So,
Not always the case.
For our superintendent.
So Kim, I know you have places to go, but on our opening day, we gave out these to our staff, and we're OSBA friends. And so on your way out, you can remember and you can kind of say, that's Mount Vernon.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
And don't
Thank you,
slam on
Kim.
your brakes.
Yeah, be careful.
I'm going to hold this in track. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Kim.
you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Okay, was there any public participation? Yeah, I don't see anybody else here that would be presenting. Okay, we'll go ahead then. I don't have any board items for discussion. Additions or deletions? None.
No additions or
Okay,
deletions.
we're to your report then.
Okay. I thought I'd give you a quick opening day update. This was an exciting day. It's always exciting to get started. We had a lot of things on our agenda, one of which was we welcome new staff. I'll share those videos with you in our board update on Friday as we'll get back to those. I will say that John Fry was a great help with the new staff, and Katie was able to join us. So, we always do our new teacher academy, and we bring our folks in for 2 days to really help them get acclimated. And one of our kind of standards is we take them on a bus tour of Mount Vernon and Gambier. We show our new teachers the entire district, quite frankly, every school. We go to the parks. It really feels more like it's a public relations event.
That's awesome.
And Katie was able to join us on that trip, and then we looked at some of our facilities. And John put it to music, so that was kind of neat to be able to see. We also did our summer scrapbook, and had 110 staff members send in pictures. And so for the past few days, we've been kind of assembling those things and putting that to music and just doing the pictures. And so about 14 minutes worth of just kind of getting a chance to see what folks did. And quite frankly, were you envious of some of
I
the...
was just thinking that, how I felt envious.
We had a lot of folks
Created
that
a lot of
traveled
things.
overseas that, found they're really relaxed and found ways to do that. So that was exciting as well. The United Way was part of our thing this morning. And of course, our theme this year is excellence under construction. And so we can be a community under construction as well, because we're always trying to improve. Gary got a chance to get up and share, so it was nice to welcome him back. And he shared about some insurance, the fun topic of insurance, right, Gary?
And he did a great job.
But he did. He spun it really positively, and the district is really taking on a wellness initiative this year, unlike any I've seen in my time here, quite frankly. And so we have a lot of activities and bingo sheets for our staff to really take wellness hopefully to another level. So Gary did a really good job of that. And then, of course, I did share a little bit at the end, and I'll just share with you the first part here, only because it really just shares some photos, and I wanted to share those. I won't get into all the other stuff. I can obviously share those with you at some point here as we move forward. You know what, let me try this real quick. I'll just download it because it might make it bigger. Anyway, excellence under construction is our theme. We talked about the definition, excellence. The word excellence is defined by the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. Construction refers to a building, a structure, or a project that is unfinished but actively being worked on. And I look at that both literally and figuratively. We're a district under construction literally by all of the things that are going on, the projects, and figuratively, we spent a good bit of time this morning talking about just where we're going as a district, and I won't get into that with you this evening, but wanted to share literally what's going on. So, the Gateway project, we gave a brief update on that, and so Pam is becoming a drone. Pam and Kim are becoming drone experts. She is sending videos. And so this is what this field house is beginning to look like when you see it from the air. The Mount Vernon, or the Maintenance Transportation Building, right now, you're seeing it being excavated there at the site. They dug some pilot test holes for foundation. They have to do a little extra work to make sure it's ready to go, but it's been cleared off there, and so the Maintenance Transportation Building is moving forward. Yellow Jacket Drive, this picture is kind of taken just as you begin to turn into the middle school, high school parking lot. So if you picture the telephone poles there on the left, the road will be going straight along the telephone poles to the right, all the way to Cougar Drive. And we're continuing to work on the development of that, and actually I have a meeting with Brian Ball in the morning to talk about some more specifics relative to that. The stadium entrance is the one that, quite frankly, is very visible, that people see from the road. And we have, we're on countdown now. We have about 12 days before our first game, and they made some real progress today. It's really coming along. The gates are now up. They finished the roofing today. They have an inspection, and they're going to start painting. But I think the thing that has caught the greatest eye from people as they drive by is the parking lot. And unanimously, the staff was like, "Oh my goodness," because I think their cars have seen the holes over the years. I put this new slide in. This wasn't here this morning, but Pam did this one. Look at that. I mean, it almost looks not real.
Right,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
It looks like a rendering.
It looks like a rendering, but that truly is a shot from above, looking at the facility. So the Gateway project and the stadium entrance is really coming along nicely. And while we don't have a huge agenda for tonight, if it's something afterwards that some of you would like to go down and walk around, I'd be glad to walk around with you. But we also had lots of other things going on. By the good graciousness of our community and their willingness to support us in that PI levy this spring, we're able to commit long-term now towards projects, quite frankly, that have just been left over time. And so while we only are collecting about half of those funds this year, it really gave us an opportunity to kickstart into some things that, quite frankly, staff is noticing right away. I know it's kind of light in here, and those pictures seem to be a little faded because of the technology. But at Columbia, a sidewalk was replaced. We carpeted 5 rooms that were really in disrepair and almost unsafe. And we're continuing conversations and have sent recently some renderings to the mayor of Mount Vernon to really take a look at that parking situation. We seem to have a thumbs up about moving forward with really addressing that, so it's great. At Wiggin Street, we did some new security and safety upgrades. We put in an all-new security camera system. There are now 5 outside cameras. They're facing the playground where we can kind of keep access to what's going on there. We've also done some HVAC work to really take a look at upgrading that as well. So things are going on there as well. At Pleasant Street and Dan Emmett, I'll start with Pleasant Street, the cafeteria ceiling. You kind of see a picture there, but it used to be that popcorn ceiling. You remember we were at Pleasant Street, and the health department has really just been asking us to try to get that fixed, and we did. Actually, we did it in 2 buildings, and so that's a project that we've been excited to get taken care of. They also have had some camera upgrades, as well as a bus drop-off area for safety for kids. Dan Emmett, we did the parking lots, we did some sidewalks, some modular floors, and some handicap security. At East and Twin Oak, again, in our facility thought exchange, one of those big things that came out from our folks at East was a sidewalk, quite frankly, in front of East Elementary. And, they had big trees there. There were roots that kind of had it upheavaled, and we were finally able to address that. So it's, I could ride my skateboard right down
That I'd
through
like
there.
to see.
Yeah, you'd like to see that, wouldn't you? The gymnasium ceiling there was also done. It had the popcorn ceiling, so the lighting and ceiling was done. The gym floor was resurfaced, and we did some work down the art and music room that was much needed. So if you go down into the hollers of the East Elementary, you can see that there was a need for that. Twin Oak, one of our newest buildings, or our newest building, it didn't have a lot to be done this year, but we did some parking lot resealing and striping and handrails and retaining walls. At the high school, we've got quite a few things going on. That corner is almost complete. The cabinets come in first part of next week. We're going to have a new coffee bar, kind of a nice casual place for our students up in the cafeteria area. We had to do some roof work. We're beginning a classroom furniture replacement at the high school. Many of those furniture items are original, 40 years old, and they're really seeing their wear. We've replaced 8 classrooms this year, and we'll continue to do that. The arts is going to be a continued focus for us. Auditorium upgrades. We are currently going to have all the lighting redone and curtains redone this fall, and so that'll be a benefit for our art and music folks. The one thing that we still fall short of, and today was another example of that, is it's just not quite big enough. I wish we could add more seats, but maybe that's a conversation for another day. And then, of course, the middle school, we did some work there. So all to say that, we really appreciate the support of the community, and we want to make sure we put out there what we're doing with those funds and how we're trying to improve our schools, and we want to maintain them and do the best we can. When you look at future construction kinds of thoughts, we could repair, renovate, and renew. And as we continue to earmark money towards those things, we'll continue to address areas of need so that we can bring our buildings up to a standard in which we and our community can, quite frankly, be very proud of. And so the conversation will continue relative to that. And then I went into something, and we won't go any further here, but figuratively speaking, I believe we're a district that's constantly under construction, unfinished, but actively being worked on with excellence as our goal. And we talked about some of those things. So you'll get a chance perhaps to see that later, but I wanted to give you just that brief update relative to not only this morning, but a facility update to kind of keep you up to speed on what's going on.
Okay, thank you. And you don't have any items for approval, right?
No items in our section today.
So we're down to curriculum and student liaison report. The first article is on manufacturing camp, and this is Mansfield. Grades 6 through 8 participated in a Richland County manufacturing camp, and the students designed a miniature peacock, then they made a wood model out of it, and then they worked with MAPCO in Lexington to make a larger version out of metal, and it's on display at the Kingwood Center. So if you go there, you might see it sometime. But students designed that and had a part in that and watched it throughout the process. So that was pretty exciting for them. The second article is on Southeastern Ohio Students Excel at STEM. And this was a program organized by Building Bridges to Careers. And actually, these students had applied to the Oak Brook camp in Tennessee, and they didn't have enough spots for these students. So our governor took note of that, and he actually took the initiative to have this camp for 21 students in counties from all over southeastern Ohio. And they had an opportunity to learn about STEM, and the camp was a creation of robotics arm that can be programmed to pick up and move objects, and they worked with the Mondo Polymer technology plant in Reno. So that was something that the governor took the initiative to provide. I thought the most interesting article was the next one, Does Boredom Help Students Learn?
It's good.
Which, the title, and actually, I looked on the, I do a lot on the Ohio Digital Library, and it's available, so I'm going to actually read this book because I thought it was so interesting as a title. But it says the challenge is that we are on technology so often, and our mind is so constantly, at work, that we have no time to just reflect and to be creative and imaginative. And that when you're bored and you're just sitting around thinking, that's when sometimes you have the most creative ideas. So they're saying there's a lot to that, and the research supposedly supports that. So the International Society for Technology and Education Conference, they presented this research, and they said that the default mode is neutral, a network where we do our, I can only write with my left hand, so I'm having trouble writing. Network where we do our most original thinking and problem solving. So it says anytime we're checking, the research says we shift our attention, and this was amazing, I thought, every 45 seconds. Currently, we're shifting our attention. And a decade ago, that was every 3 minutes. So he said people, their average time of checking their phone from the research says that it's 2 hours per day or 60 times. And that this is constantly bombarding your your neurons so that you don't have time to just reflect. And so anyway, I'm going to read this book. I'll tell you what, if it's as interesting as it sounds. The next article is on Can Mathematical Novels Better Engage Students? It's called the Rabbit Math Curriculum. And I didn't really read about the curriculum, but it's based on Alice in Wonderland, as you can see with the picture. And they're saying that there's a tension between the traditional and the discovery method of mathematics, but it shouldn't be. They should be not mutually exclusive. They should be, the same thing. So they're trying to encourage math instruction, blending drama, literature, and other creative arts to instill wonder in students so that they're excited about math and turned on about math and will remember what they've learned. So I thought that was, being a former math professor, I thought that was pretty interesting. And then there's the debate continues over mandatory retention policies, and they said that the research does show that if you retain students that they do improve, but they don't know whether that's because of all the intervention strategies that then they put in place to address those issues, and that might really be what makes the difference. And then there was another research article on math, and the Flagway coaches are it's a case study in a high school in Chicago called the Flagway program. It's increased flexibility with numbers and a result of this game. And they're saying that the more sensory experiences you have, you're not just using your reading, but you're using running and all of your senses, so that the abstract math is translated into competition and movement, and that helps students embody the learning. So he says you've got more neural pathways that are involved, and that helps the students retain the information. So it's just some interesting articles if you have time and are interested. Look more in depth at them. But I'm going to read the book and let you know about the boredom.
That sounded interesting.
Okay, and we have an overnight extended student.
We have one item for board approval in this section. It's an extended student trip We have really ramped up the number of opportunities for students to travel abroad, to get out of Mount Vernon, to see what other cultures are and what things look like. And I know next year alone, or this spring, we have a group going to England and France. We have a group going to Spain. We've sent groups to Central America. I mean, we continue to try to provide those opportunities. And I think a large part of that is, we have that Global Scholars Diploma that's now really in our second full year, third year since its implementation. And we're beginning to kind of raise that global awareness. I think that's really, really important. So this particular trip is going to take place during spring break. So they're going to be gone, from just before we leave for spring break, all through spring break and then return. So that item for your approval.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the student trip to Spain.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gulladye. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Gessman. And I think they only miss one day of school, is that correct? That Friday. Okay. Are there any questions? Other than we'd all like to go, right?
Yes.
I just have one comment. We're talking about all of these things, which is really educating the whole child. And I spoke to a family member who's in a high school in a different school system. And he's very sports centered, but he remarked how in his school they don't emphasize the arts. And I was shocked coming from an athlete, but it goes to show you how important what we're doing is, that kids do notice what they have and what they are not provided with. So I really appreciate all of this.
Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gulladye.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, fiscal services, you're on.
Obviously, this is based on July, so we're looking at the first month of the new fiscal year. If you look at our first page here, nothing really stands out except when you get to the bottom. We got outstanding checks. This report was run on the very day that we issued a pretty large check to Adina. So
Okay.
they obviously weren't able to cash it the same day. So that's why that number there is so large. But of course, that money is based on the generosity of Ariel and boosters and some other things. So that's awesome. If you continue scrolling down, Mr. Cedar. Obviously, like I said, first month of the fiscal year. Not a whole lot going on, kind of run of the mill. You will see that about half of our property taxes have already come in for the year. Other than that, it's just kind of your run of the mill fiscal statement regarding our general fund. You can see our investments. We're off to a good start for this fiscal year to
Yeah.
date. So that's great. And as you know, we're obviously investing the money that was generously given to us. So that is certainly helping with our investment and our interest build up right there. The next couple pages are obviously a portion of our investments with Meter. I have scheduled a meeting to meet with them. When I kind of meet face to face with a lot of the people that we work closely with, like Gallagher, I have a meeting set up with them for our insurance perspective. And then obviously with the people from Meter, and just to take a closer look at our investment portfolio and go from there. But the rest of it is just kind of the run-of-the-mill stuff you're used to seeing.
And you have some donations.
We have a donation from the Mount Vernon Nazarene University Student Group M2540, based on Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, in the amount of $1,266.91 to Dan Emmett Elementary School. That's awesome. We have a donation from the Elks Club, Mount Vernon Lodge 140, in the amount of $2,000 for computer cart, Chromebooks, and cords to Twin Oak Elementary. We have a donation from Dave and Ellen Culberson for backpack, school supplies, arts and crafts materials, also to Twin Oak Elementary.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve those two items as read.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Feasel. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Regola. Were there any questions? Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Feasel.
Yes.
Ms. Regola-John.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Vernon.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Our legislative liaison report.
Thank you. The two links there, the legislative update, if you want to open that link, that's the one that Mrs. Bennett sent to us via email. And I was scrolling through all of this and looking carefully at the money end of this, of course, and focusing on the graduation requirements, which are so important. But then later in the email are the newer bills that are coming up, and I'd like to just focus on those. HB 305 is the Cupp-Patterson school funding bill, and they have not thrown it out, so that's good news. It's had some adjustments, and there are more changes will occur with some debate. Speaker Householder has committed to work on this proposal, which is great. And hearings will begin in September on this. HB 305 could be adopted for the second biennium or delayed till 2022. And HB 305 is the Cupp-Patterson funding bill. HB 239 would, scale back on state tests to the federal minimums. Districts would need to convene a task force to look at local testing and recommend the reductions. HB 165 and as Senate Bill 121 requires the High Department of Education, the State Board of Education to develop health education standards, but districts wouldn't be required to adopt them. SB 102 requires districts to administer a dyslexic screening assessment, and the state would provide and pay for that tool. And then OSBA is monitoring in the other link. OSBA is monitoring 54 bills. One, other than the biennium bill, was enacted, and that's HB 62, which is transportation budget, and it relates to transportation and public safety for the biennium from July to June 30th. And then another link that I had wanted to send, and I didn't get it on the email to Terry, so I goofed up the technology again. But it was from Education Dive K through 12. I don't know how many of you get that on your link. But the U.S. Department of Labor has issued an opinion letter stating that parents and guardians are allowed to use the Family Medical Leave Act intermittently to attend individual education programs or IEPs, meetings with teachers, school administrators, and others involved in planning education services for children with special needs. And that's really, really excellent. And then on another site from the Department of Education, due to the changes in the state law as part of the 5-year reviews, the High Department of Education has posted for public comment on the standards for implementation of positive behavior intervention, supports, and use of restraint and seclusion. Comments are accepted through September 20th. And I went ahead and went on the site and I gave my opinions. The one thing that I was a little concerned about was to make sure that any restraint would not include the weighted blankets that sometimes our special education people have used. They don't anymore. Okay. Because I know at one time those were part of what we had some years ago.
Years and years ago.
I don't think it was that many years.
Yeah, there are no devices used during restraints
Okay.
at all.
Okay. So no weighted blankets and no weighted jackets or anything like
Not used
that?
during a restraint.
Okay.
Right.
Is that ever used for any other purpose for sensory?
Those are used as prescribed by an occupational therapist.
Okay.
There's some interesting research about how that can be a good thing.
Yeah.
But not for restraint
I don't know.
purposes.
Not for restraint.
Right,
no.
that was, I just wanted to make sure that that was not that our teachers would do it, but in a state law, that people would know, no, you don't use that as a means of restraining a child or to get them whatever. So any questions or comments or ideas?
Yeah, I would make a comment about the biennial budget, and so while certainly we're very appreciative of the budget being completed and they did it in a timely manner, I think it's important to note to the board, and actually Katie ran a nice article on this as well, that we were essentially flat funded, meaning we didn't receive any additional funds, although we got it in a very earmarked way. And so the money that we are receiving is earmarked to be used towards school wellness. And these are very defined purposes for which they're used. So all that to say, I know Gary and I, and Gary in particular, we're going to have to come back and revise the 5-year forecast, because there were some assumptions in there that we would be getting money that we could use in a general capacity. There are some provisions for some ability to supplant, but of course I think the governor's, I would venture to guess that he was hoping for more new kinds of initiatives, of which we're very thankful for, but yet we also have to be financially and fiscally responsible. So that biennial budget is something we're keeping a close eye on, because we were forecasting for additional revenues,
And it's not going to happen.
it's not going to happen in the way that traditionally would come true.
And that student wellness and success funds, we have to be so careful how that's used, because it could just go away.
And that's the concern. Generally, when there's money that's given from the state level, it generally doesn't go away. That hasn't been tradition. However, the way they're wanting us to report it and the way they're wanting us to put it in a separate fund, it gives Gary and I just a little bit of pause, and Judy as well, as to after this biennium, does it go away? So you got to be really careful about doing a whole lot in the way of personnel, because if it would go away, then now you're on the hook for these personnel kinds of things. So just something we need to be cautious of and be mindful of, but again, at the same time, we're very thankful for the resources towards school wellness, because we know we have lots of needs in that area, without question. The Cup-Patterson piece, it would not surprise me. They'll have hearings, but I think it'll go to 2022, which of course will be what? It'll be the next biennial budget. So
Yes.
I think that's what I would anticipate.
Can I add a couple things just to clarify? Back to the restraints and seclusion. The district does not allow seclusion of students. Okay, so there are no seclusions when we do our annual report. Students are not secluded, and there's a definition of seclusion that's very particular. We do encourage aides and administrators and teachers to be what we call CPI trained. And CPI is a national program that is offered through the ESC, stands for Crisis Prevention Intervention, and it's an all-day training. That certification is good for a 2-year period. And when you go to that training, probably 8 or 9/10 of it is de-escalation, your body movements, how you posture yourself, things you say, things you don't say, proximity to students. The restraint piece is really where you don't want to go. And it teaches you so many of the things to do before you get to the place. Our staff are trained to know that you are only to restrain if you have been through the training, and if the child is a danger to themselves or others. And so it's our last resort. If it's an emergency and there's no one trained, then we're going to protect that child from being a danger to themselves. So that is, some clarification too. And then the other piece, when Mary talked about the FMLA, allowing parents to use FMLA to come to an IEP meeting, I had a parent send this to me earlier in the week, and I threw it back to her. The one thing that I questioned on it is it allows participants to make medical decisions concerning your child's medically prescribed speech, PT, or OT. We're not medically prescribing any of those things. And FMLA is a medical component, and there are children that have medical reasons to have OT, PT, and speech, and those are at Knox Wellness Center at KCH. So I'm not quite sure how this really fits into education, because the speech that we prescribe through an ETR, it's not a medical speech, doesn't mean it's a prescription for that. So I'd like some clarification, and I'm not sure who to get that from. But it's interesting.
I can contact one of our people from OSBA.
Yeah, I would be curious to see if they can expand on
Yeah.
how that really works. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to point out too, you mentioned about the ODE report that we're required to supply. Also, we have to adopt a policy regarding students at risk of not graduating. We also have to develop that diploma seal.
Yes.
An extra diploma seal for either community service, fine and performing arts, or student engagement. And then we're supposed to work with another, well, the wellness, you know all about that, working with another group to show collaboration. So, and when you do these reports, can you send us copies so that we can have a summary of that
I
as well?
think Gary will find out here at his next meeting what that reporting looks like, how it's going to be reported, when the timing of that is, and so.
We'd be interested, I think.
The other item we had there for information for you was the bus purchasing calendar. We are part of a cooperative when we buy our buses now. This cooperative goes out and publicly bids for buses, so we don't have to individually do it. And we provided that information for you because you're going to see a board resolution to engage again in that meta bus purchasing. So another item for information.
And has anybody, you mentioned about the transportation grant, I think it's 20 million that they've allocated for, but do you know how we can access that?
I think it's.
That would be interesting to, we don't want to go ahead and purchase something and then find out we had to go through a certain process to access those funds.
We'll do some checking on that and get back to you.
Because that would be a nice feature to have some help with that, like they used to provide.
We have a number of items for board approval tonight. The first are a list of free facility requests, anywhere from, believe it or not, fall sting, softball, to Mount Vernon girls basketball. We also have some girls investing in girls clubs going on at a couple of our elementaries. And we have Girl Scouts of Ohio. So those are opportunities for us to provide our facilities to these organizations that serve our kids free of charge. I do have item number 2 is that Meta Solutions resolution, which really allows us to be a part of their cooperative buying purchase. And there was a deadline for that, and that's why you're seeing this resolution on there, that we needed to get that approved. You'll also see at number 3, Mohican Rehabilitation Services. They provide all of our athletic training. And so we're certainly pleased with that service and wish to continue with them. There has just been a minimal increase. It stays pretty consistent from that point on. There is a 2% increase caused if need be. And then at number 4, there is the sheriff's agreement for law enforcement. And I know we had some emails kind of going back and forth today about how so appreciative we are of our Mount Vernon Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, for their support of activities that we have here at Mount Vernon, and quite frankly, keeping us safe. And so that contract again is there for your approval. And finally, at number 5, we're approving a food service contract for a group to come in and really kind of just take a look at our overall process from how we're serving food to what kinds of foods we're serving, looking at menu options. As you know, we have a variety of kitchen kinds of situations in the districts. We have some kitchens that can make a lot of their food. We have other kitchens that we satellite. So we're really just trying to tap into some of the best practices out there, just to better serve our students in our community. So those 5 items for your approval.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those items as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. Were there any questions or comments?
I do have a question on the food service solution. In looking through it, it talks about managing food and staffing, et cetera. will that also manage waste? Will we be able to do any kind of waste management on that piece as well?
You know, I believe that was a conversation that came up in our talks, and you know, quite frankly, what we're wasting are things that students don't eat.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes those are mandated to us.
Right,
And so how can we best use our commodities to purchase things that students would like? How can we better take a look at things that maybe you don't want on your plate? Can I allow others an opportunity, you know, to
Like a
to
share
use
table.
kind of like a
Right.
sharing kind
Okay.
of thing? So I think they're gonna really just take a look at a lot of those areas and
Okay.
provide some recommendations so that, you know, we can provide a better breakfast and lunch service.
okay, thank you.
Glad you mentioned that, because
Okay.
that is a big issue
It
with the
is.
changes in nutrition that are required. Some of the students just don't like,
No,
nutritious
right.
food.
And I did read, it was another state, so, you know, guidelines could be differently, of course, but what was left over, they were packaging, and the meal was going home to children.
See that, yeah.
Rather than, so that surplus was being used rather than
Right.
wasted.
There has to be better ways than just throwing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
Thank you for mentioning that. Anything else?
Is there any, I looked at this, but I didn't notice anything about recycling. Is that part of?
I don't think it'll be part of this particular study, but we have a number of groups who are very interested in recycling, anywhere from our FFA to our Family and Consumer Sciences. And so we'll often hear them really kind of touting those kinds of initiatives.
Wigan Street as well, correct? Are they still on
I
the
think we
bandwagon?
have a number of them who are really still recycling in a good way.
Anything else? Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzler.
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel.
Yes.
Mr. Roldan.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And student services?
I have no items for information. I do have one contract for board approval. You probably won't recognize the name of Boundless Behavioral Health. Step by Step was a program that we had used before. Boundless is a larger organization that has been purchasing up some of these smaller organizations. So that Step by Step is now part of Boundless. We have a high school student that the team has made a determination that we can't meet the needs of that individual. The behaviors are intense, and we need some board-certified behavioral analysts. We need some true applied behavioral analysis. We need to ramp up the instruction, and we need to make sure that the people that are doing it are highly trained. So that's the direction that we're going. This will involve taking this child to Newark every day and bringing the child home every day. So it's kind of hard when we have to admit that we can't meet the needs of this student, but there are opportunities. Unfortunately, they're not 10 minutes away. So it makes it a little bit more of a challenge, but the family is very supportive of this. The district team is very supportive, and we feel like this is the right direction. That program will include everything from changing behaviors to vocational training, learning to be independent and thinking, 4 years from now, that child's going to be done with high school and what is adulthood going to look like. So along with the academics, of course, of high school, because the high school diploma is still going to happen. We just have to figure out how to manage those behaviors in a way that keeps people safe, so, for the child and the staff.
Thank you for that explanation. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve this one item.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Fiesel. And were there questions or comments?
One question, Pam, can any of this be billed through Medicaid, Medicare?
The Medicaid, Medicare, we can get reimbursement for OT, PT, and speech,
Okay,
not for the direct service.
okay,
But I will double check that.
Okay.
But we can't bill Medicaid in the district for just instructional things.
okay,
It's the evaluation, OT, PT, and speech.
Okay.
But let me dig just to make sure.
okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, anything else? Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola-Dye.
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann,
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Personnel.
Yeah, under personnel and certificated licensed staff, we have no items for information. Have a number of items for your board approval. The first is a resignation, and I guess I would also just say a commendation. Mike Markham, who has been a long time softball coach here at Mount Vernon, has decided to retire his whistle, so to speak, and he will no longer be coaching. He had a marvelous year. The team actually is going to be receiving an award from the state of Ohio as being rated AP's #1 team at the end of the season. Unfortunately, we had a great run in the tournament, fell just short at the end. The girls just played incredibly well. And of course, it takes a coach to lead them there, and Mike's been a big part of that. So he is going to retire. So we'll have big shoes to fill there, but we'll do our best. Number of late hires there, item number 2. Both of them at the middle school, an intervention specialist and a math role. We have department heads in 3 and 4. We have this big long list of Saturday schools. We don't have a whole lot of Friday, Saturday schools, but boy, we have a lot of people who'd love to come. And then of course we have substitute teachers, some supplementals, and advisors. So those items for your approval.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those licensed staff items as read.
Second.
Thank you, and Mrs. Getzmann, second. Were there any questions or comments?
I just have one comment about Mr. Markham. One of our former jackets, Nicole Doyle, has received so many awards for her softball career, and I'm sure that he was one of the people instrumental in her accomplishments. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Anything else? Would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Feasel,
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Ms. Regola-Dye,
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Classified staff.
Just one item for information, we do have one bus driver who will be taking an extended leave of absence, and we're certainly hopeful that this driver will return to us, but needed to take this leave at this time. We have a number of items recommended for board approval, and so we have a number of substitutes in specific positions. We did hire a new bus mechanic to replace Greg Carpenter, who retired last month. Just a long time mechanic, and so we're thankful to have David on board, and we've got some custodial support, as you can see, with the library aides and some contracts. So those items for your approval.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola-Dye,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel,
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann,
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, you have no
I
need
have
for
no need for
executive.
executive session tonight.
I would entertain a motion then to adjourn.
So moved.
This is a record, right?
I did. Yes. It is a
Okay,
record.
we have a motion by Ms. Regola-Dye. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. And if there are no further comments, you call the roll, please.
Ms. Regola-Dye,
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Feasel,
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yeah. Yeah, motion carried, so we are officially adjourned.
Thank you for being here, everybody out there.
Anybody like to go over to